Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to our review on the Sanma Toys X5 aerial quadcopter. Now this is a entry level grade aerial photography quadcopter, and you will get it in a retail box. And I'd like to thank the guys too of Eachbuyer who sent me this to do the review for them. So let's dive in. What you're going to get in the box, obviously, your quadcopter, crash guards, landing gear. Camera will be pre-installed. You will likely find your micro SD card already installed, and it's a push and click. So you push it in, you'll hear a click, it comes out. Take it out, 2 gigabyte card. Okay, and it is 2 megapixel high definition video camera. Your battery more than likely will already be in the battery compartment or will be in your accessory bag. Mine was already in the quad, just sitting there ready to be plugged in. But of course you do have to charge the battery first. Highly recommend that. And getting in the battery compartment is very, very easy. You know, you just put your finger in front of the lens here and then just gently pull back, lift up, and you'll find your battery in there. Now mine right now is actually plugged in, and the little connector only plugs in one direction, so you can't mess up hooking up the battery. And you do have an on and off switch for the quad, which is a bonus, because for the amount of time that you're going to fiddle around with opening the door and putting the battery in, plugging it in, you know, this allows you to not worry about messing up the gyro system at all for setup. So the on and off switch, big bonus there. Okay, now you will be installing the landing gear. They are just pressure fit, that's it, no screws, which is great, so toolless. Even to remove them, just give them a little wiggle and gently pull, and they'll pop right out, no problem. Okay, and they do hold in there very nicely. The prop guards, same idea. There's 2 friction fit holes, and then of course you've got a little baggie of screws that will come in your accessory package, and 1 screw on each one locks them in place nice and solid. Okay, now in the accessories you're also going to receive 2 blades, a micro SD card reader that's USB, so you just pull it apart and there's your USB port, and your SD card goes right in the back. It only goes in one way, by the way. Your charger, screwdriver, of course your manual is also in there, and the radio. Now, while I was waiting for this quad to show up, I was doing investigating on YouTube myself, trying to even find this thing. You know, it's like Sanma S309 is what's written on this, right? And I found 2 videos, and they were just, you know, with just the onboard footage, and they're basically almost the identical video to each other. But that was it. I was like, wow, okay, cool. So, no info. But what I did discover is that the Sanma X5 and the X5C, I believe it is, same exact quad, really. They look exactly alike. Like, to look at these, it's like the only way you're really telling them apart is what's written on the lid for that part. The radio equipment, however, is different, and there will be some features difference too. And I did a lot of investigating on the Sanma, so you're going to get some stuff on this one that you're not going to find in those Sanma X5s. But that's all what you're looking for too, right? Now, getting into the radio equipment, this totally floored me. Very unexpected. First thing I actually noticed on the buttons was auto return. I was like, no way, not happening, you know. And then I looked in the manual, sure enough, okay, auto return is in the manual. I'm like, come on, this thing's only like 67 bucks, and they got auto return in this. This could be cool, you know. Headless mode as well, also not listed in the spec sheet on Eachbuyer's website. You know, because all the specs were there, but, you know, these 2 weren't there. And I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. And even at, like I said, looking at all the X5 videos, and there's quite a number of them, not one of them mentioned anything about headless modes and auto return, you know. And I was like, interesting. Activating the camera for video mode and snapshots, 2 separate buttons for that. Nice little digital display, gives you a lot of information. Okay, I'm going to give you an up-close of the digital display too, by the way. Left and right top clicker buttons, okay? With the radio facing you, of course. The right button is for flipping. The left button is for high and low rates for your speed. You've got digital trims, of course, and the radio remembers, okay? It will remember your trim settings, which is great. You program them in, they're locked in, and you're ready to go. This switch up here, however, this is a three-way switch. I have no clue, guys, what that switch is for, and it's not covered in the manual. Like when you look at the diagram in here for the radio, it doesn't show anything about that switch. You know, it's like, okay, you know, and the manual is actually done reasonably well. There's a very good English in there, so not a big deal. The airframe on this I find is actually fairly sturdy, even though it is extremely lightweight, and it is thin plastic. It's not super thin plastic, but it is going to be durable. It will take some crashing, you know, and I would recommend that, you know, whenever you think you're about to crash, just drop the throttle, like kill the power, and even if you have to just turn the switch off, it will shut off the quad. And then this way, you're going to save a ton of damage that could happen, especially if you have any chance of smacking a tree trunk or the side of a house or the asphalt. You know, the less damage you can incur, the better. So dropping that throttle is always the best way to save a ton of damage. Okay, but it will take some hits, not a problem there. And the crash guards are very flexible too. So if you do get, you know, like a good smack, and it does happen to bend it up a bit, you can just, you know, flex it and bend it down, and then it clears the path again. So if you have any blade chatter against the prop guards, you can just clear it just by bending these back down a bit, and they'll stay put again, and away you go, and you're off flying. Okay. Now, when you turn on the quad, you'll notice, of course, lights flash. Your green lights are for reverse, okay, which is quite obvious because that's the back end where your SD card is, front end nose piece. However, at night you don't get to see your camera, so you got to rely on lighting. So just keep in mind that green is reverse, and these orangish reddish colored ones, they're for forward movement. And when you're in headless mode, things get changed again for that. So you're going to have to keep in mind headless mode is a really different mode to fly in. It's something that I've had very little experience in myself, and I'm going to start actually practicing more and more with the headless mode, just to learn it. I want to learn it and learn it with the auto return feature, because auto return without headless mode, it's only going to come straight back. That's all it does. Like it's none of this you know, return to home where you just click it and it flies back and lands. This is not a DJI Phantom, okay? So you click and you hold it and it comes back to you. So when you're not in headless mode, it's straight back with the green lights. So if your orientation, you're facing, like I'm facing the camera right now, and the quad is facing this way, you know, my green lights are now this way, so I hit the auto return, it's going this way. Okay, so when you set up your headless mode, they give you instructions on how to set up headless mode and stuff, so, you know, for flying, and, you know, in case you have to use auto return, you know, you'll have that thing all taken care of. And like I said, very little experience myself with it. So I've got a few things to learn about that, but I've been messing around with it a bit, and though it is different to fly in headless mode, it is actually kind of cool. So anyway, the radio uses 4 AA batteries too, by the way. Those you'll have to provide yourself. Now the battery that they include is a 25C discharge rate, single cell LiPo, and it is 600 milliamps. So this is going to provide you approximately, and that's with running the camera at the same time, and even doing a bit of aggressive flying in the high rates, that's still going to give you an easy 7 minutes of flight time. You can get a little bit extra flight time by, of course, not running the camera, and of course, if you don't fly like a maniac, you can increase that flight time too, and you should be able to pull almost 8 minutes easy out of this battery. Should. No guarantee, but you should. Depends on your wind conditions and, you know, everything else, how that's going to work out for you. And getting the battery in is not really difficult. It's just a matter of dropping it in there, and the connector only plugs in one way. Boom, done. And then just push your little wire here down and tuck it in, and like that. And you have an on and off switch too, which is nice and bonus. So you turn on the quad. I'm going to turn on the radio. Now throttle all the way up and then down, and lights are solid and you're bound. Okay, now if for any reason you need to reset the accelerometer, just hold the stick down here, your right stick, hold your left stick down, and then angle them both to the right, and it'll start to blink, and then a rapid blink, and then let go, and done, and it's set. Resets it. That's simple and easy, no problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut off the quad, and I'm going to come up to the camera and show you the display on this, give you a good close-up view so you can see what's happening here. So your throttle, you'll see the two little bars, they move up and down. And also as you move your stick around too, you'll see in the middle display that circle. Okay, it's going to go side to side. And of course, see if I can get it this way maybe. Forward, reverse, left, right, and then of course you can go into the corners and mess around with corner turning. So you can do like funnels and all kinds of stuff. The 3D flipping on this thing is really fast. The first flip I took was about 5 feet off the ground, and it was purely accidental that even took place. I accidentally hit the right toggle button, and I was like, oh, this isn't flip mode, I gotta flip this, you know? And I thought, yeah, what's the worst that could happen is crash, right? I'm 5 feet off the ground. You know, any other quad I've tried to flip this size, 5 feet off the ground, was usually unsuccessful. This thing, it just spun it and flipped, no problem, didn't even come near the ground. It was like, wow, that thing has some good authority when it's got a well charged battery in it. I mean, when the battery does get weaker, of course, you will start taking up some space, but you can get quite a few flips out of this thing, and it just spins on a dime. It's like instant boom and recovers well. The 6-axis gyro system in this thing is really, really good. Very, very stable system, guys. Okay. Now, let's talk about what doesn't impress me. Okay. And I mean, you might take a little bit of this as nitpick, but you know, there's some valid nitpick. 2 blades, I would have really liked to see 4 with this. Most quads this size, and pretty much anyone that I've ever bought myself, okay, that you know, and ones I've seen, all came with 4. This one does come with 2, and yes, I know there are others that also come with 2 blades, but I think 4 would actually be a lot nicer to come with 4 spare blades. The charge time on this quadcopter is rated at 100 minutes. Okay, when you first plug the thing in, you're pretty close to that, you know, initially, because the battery's in storage mode. But from a really depleted battery, you're looking more like an easy 2 hours, like a full 120 minutes before the battery's fully charged. And that's a long time to wait. So if you don't have the patience, you might want to get yourself a professional level charger, unless you have one already, because this quad is suitable for the very beginner noob people and those who are even advanced quadcopter pilots that might be thinking about getting into a aerial photography quad instead of going out and buying a Phantom right away, or you know, the Inspire or one of those other really super expensive quads that you might not end up liking in the end. At least this, I mean, this was $67 Canadian. I mean, that's pretty inexpensive to get started with high definition on top of that, and a very stable machine and a very good flyer. That's very inexpensive, and then if you don't like it, hey, no big deal, right? But the charge time on this, I found, was extremely, extremely long. You know, considering you're only getting, you know, about 7.5 minutes of flight time, the recharge time could be better. So even a better quality charger that would charge faster, like say in about 40 minutes, would have been a nicer benefit. Okay, so I would probably like to see if Sanma in the future would provide, you know, faster chargers than these little things. You know, the SD card reader I have no qualms with. I mean, screwdriver, no problem. Hey, you got a screwdriver. The blades come off with a screw in the center, which is actually good. I really like that. I can't really say a lot of bad things about this quad. I've had no issues with the gyro whatsoever. Everything's been fine. I've had several flights with this thing already. It's been fine. The only other thing I could say that I would be picking on a little bit would be the battery, and not because of a recharge time or lack of milliamps, but after flying this thing for a full battery, doing some videoing, and flying it really super hard, like, being aggressive with it, and you'll see exactly how aggressive this thing can get in the video footage on this video. The battery does come out of there really super warm. Like, it's not like a warm, it's like a hot warm, but it's not burning hot by any means. But it's been drained, and it knows it's been drained, so it does, you're going to have to let the battery cool down for a minimum of 20 minutes before recharging it. Let it cool off. I've had no experience with any puffing. It ain't getting that hot, but it does get really super warm, which I found like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be so aggressive with it. So I have actually tried less aggressive flying, and by doing less aggressive flying with it and still cutting video, the temps dropped quite a bit. So just keep in mind, if you are going to be very aggressive in the high rates and cutting video at the same time, or even just being really super aggressive through the whole charge cycle that you're flying it with, that battery will come out of there, fairly warm, so let it cool for 20 minutes regardless, because recharging a hot battery is what kills it, okay? We all know that. But that I kind of found for aggressive flying. Even my other quad, I've got a V212 quad, which is a very aggressive flying quad. It's not a camera quad, but it is a super aggressive flyer. As you guys know, if you've checked out my videos with that one, I get really crazy with that thing, and that battery barely gets warm even after all that time. So, this kind of really surprised me that this battery gets as warm as it does with that kind of flying, and this thing isn't even half of aggressive of a flyer as the 212, but it is a great stable flyer. Besides, it's not marketed as a speed demon anyhow. It's marketed for its stability, very smooth control on it. Like if you want to just do something like this and just barely move and crawl and turn as you're going type of thing, you can do that with this thing, and it's very, very smooth. So anyways, that's pretty much about it on this quad. Yes, I really do highly recommend this quad. If you're looking for inexpensive, good starter for this sort of thing, it is high def, and it's got a very good quality picture, as you'll see. And it gets better the more stable you keep the quad when you're shooting video. I mean, even they tell you in here, bright sunny days are very optimal for the camera, as well as, keeping the camera as stationary as possible and going as slow as possible when you're panning. And yeah, very good. But even with some aggressive video that we cut, it still turned out really, really good. I was actually very impressed. I've looked at so many quadcopter videos even in the last couple of days. I've seen some of these things even priced around the same kind of price range. I saw a couple that were also alternate clones of this one, that the video, even though it was supposedly high def, was so very choppy, it was disturbing, and I've seen them with, even different quads, same type of camera, and for some reason it couldn't keep up with the onboard busing. But this one, it's keeping up, and it's doing a great job, and I'm very pleased with it. So it's definitely a very good introductory level machine for those who want to get into the aerial stuff, but also want a really stable quad. Especially you guys who are really new to quads, to flying them, you're going to appreciate the stability factor in this quad. And you don't have to haul off the landing gear and the prop guards and the camera to lighten it up, to make it a good flyer for just even going crazy around the park width of the yard. You can still do it, and I mean, you're not really gaining much flight time by taking all that stuff off anyhow. But yeah, you could get a little bit more aggressive speed out of it by taking the weight off. Certainly you could do that if you wanted to, but me, I'm leaving this thing as is. I love this thing. It's a really great quad. I'm very impressed with it, and all the features too of this quad are very impressive for even the amount of money you're spending, which is very little really. $67 Canadian is not a lot of money to spend on something like this that gives you so much. So with that, my final star rating, for those of you who like your star ratings, this thing is locked in at a serious 4 out of 5. I really find that that's good. I mean, for the bad points, hey, it ain't perfect. It comes with 2 blades instead of 4, which is very minor, mind you, okay? The battery temp thing I don't really pick on as being so much of a bad point, but it's a little kind of a nick, because I find that that is kind of on the hot side from what I'm used to, even when I've flown quads super aggressive, you know, and they can get up super aggressive speeds too. That battery is being drained pretty quick, you know, so, but you can cool the temps by calming things down a little bit and it'll come out much cooler. So, you know, that's kind of more of a user thing, right? So it's not really a bad point. The charge time is ridiculous with this charger. That is just, it is a very bad point to me. They do need to revamp their charger idea and put in a better quality charger, because, you know, 120 minutes to recharge the battery each time. I mean, sure, yeah, you could buy extra batteries, but each one of those batteries still has to go through 100 minutes of charge time. You know, if they could cut it down with a charger with, say, about 40 minutes of charge time to charge the battery, then that would be wonderful. And then, you know, hey, no big deal. Buy, you know, a handful of spare batteries. I know I'm definitely going to order a bunch of spare batteries for this thing myself, because I want spares for this, and so I can just go to the park and, you know, fly all day. You know, you kill one battery off, let the quad sit too for about 10 minutes or so to cool its motors, and you know, because then you'll get more longer life out of the motors. Pop in another battery, go again, go again. I can fly all day and have fun, you know, on like half a dozen batteries or a dozen batteries, you know, type of thing. But very, very impressed with this thing. So, without further ado, let's go to the flight footage. There's day stuff and night stuff, different viewpoints. Enjoy the entire of that, and as usual, guys, feel free to leave your comments, and we'll do the best we can to answer them too. Thanks. So guys, that concludes our night flight. The flashing that you saw twice from the lights, that's actually activating and deactivating the onboard camera for shooting video. So you'll see a little bit of that video too in this. So we've still got another flight to go for you as yet for the outside view. Actually seeing this thing flying more during the daytime. So anyways, stay tuned and don't go away.